to the Daily Exchange. We're back and we're talking about MyEtherWallet's new mobile app hardware, and is Bitcoin preparing to go to the moon, baby? We'll see you guys right after this. Guys, there's lots going on in the market right now. Welcome back. Bitcoin trading around $6,500 right now, but alts have been flying overnight. Ethereum at $222. Ripple absolutely smashing it, and we'll talk about that in a second. Right now, CoinDesk has done a bit of a trader analysis, saying the traders are sitting on their hands a bit until it hits that 6,600 mark. Really interesting time. Bitcoin has been trading very sideways over the last 30 days. A couple of movements, but not too many as we're used to. Ripple, on the other hand, has flown. Literally jumped into its jet. It's up to 44 cents, up 35% overnight, as CNBC reports overnight that XRapid's product, which actually uses the XRP token, is potentially coming out in the next month or so. EOS as well, up 9%. They've released version 1.3 of their features, which has new speed improvements and also a new SDK for their contracts, obviously written in C++, which sets EOS apart from other blockchains like Ethereum. Obviously can run a lot faster with C++. Officially, obviously, they've also announced their Bancor X, which will be helped to trade EOS tokens on the platform. EOS trading at $5.72. VeChain as well has brought out, which are obviously very targeted towards supply chain management and dApp development, has had a nice little boost overnight. Bring up the screenshot, Joel, if you can. The report they've brought out, which how funds have been sort of spent, as well as how much. This is what they're sort of talking about. They've got their R&D, business development, compliance, ecosystem, just sort of being upfront and telling it exactly what is going on. And that kind of transparency is quite rare in cryptocurrency. It's no surprise trader sentiment has been strong, with VeChain up 8% overnight. All right, we're going to welcome our guest today, Olga from MyEtherWallet. Welcome, Olga, to the Daily Exchange. We're talking with Olga today about your new product, which is an iOS app, which is in the iOS store, MEW Connect, or MyEtherWallet Connect. It's really a hardware wallet without the hardware. Obviously, we've just got a little demo of this. Olga, do you want to tell us about what we're seeing through the demo? If you want to roll the demo, Joel, what do we? What's the product do?
The app generates the 24 words mnemonic phrase wallet, and pretty much establishes the P2P connections between your browser and your phone, and it stores your private key securely. So pretty much your key is never exposed to the browser.
Right, so your private keys are never actually put into the... So they're not, your private keys are on your phone, they're not actually in the browser at all?
Yeah. Wow. It's pretty much, it works very similar to the hardware wallet, but except it's on your phone.
So do you think this is going to stop a lot of the hacking that's been going on with MyEtherWallet?
Well, yes, of course, because we believe that a lot of people that are getting hacked and phished, they use... they pretty much just use their private key to enter into their website, while hardware wallets are never phished or hacked. And this will help a lot to people to stay safe and secure.
So it is on your phone, and you've got other hardware wallets like Ledger and Tracer and things like that. Like, how does this compare to those?
Well, both as hardware wallets and Uconnect, they, as I said earlier, create the 24 unique phrase wallets. And as well as that, you have their two-factor authentication, so you can also always make sure who you're sending it, how much you're sending to, and the browser basically again can see your private key.
Okay. I guess I've got a hardware wallet now, and I guess if there's someone, other people out there that are watching as well, why would they want to use this, the MEW Connect instead?
Well, again, we're not trying to replace hardware wallets because this is actually done for users that use their private keys to access wallets. But again, MEW Connect does not require any extra wires, any extra hardware. All you have is just your phone, which you carry with you every day.
Lost sound.
And can you hear me? Hello?
I think I've lost sound with you, Olga, but I'm going to assume you said something really cool just then, and we'll carry on. What was your sort of motivation for launching the MEW Connect?
Well, as you know, hardware wallets are pretty expensive, and we believe that the rest of the world, I mean, it would still be really pricey, and for some people, they can't even afford it. So we wanted to bring them a free alternative to hardware wallets and basically allow everybody to have a secure way, free secure way to access and store their crypto. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Olga. We're having a little technical issue, and I can't hear you, but I'm going to assume again you said something very cool. Talking about Samsung has just recently released a bit of research saying smartphones have the best security for the blockchain and cryptocurrency. And it was centered around this idea of trusted execution environments, or TEEs, isolating keys from apps and therefore protecting the basic malware. Soon enough, there was a bunch of debate around this online. One expert saying that even with TEE, they'd only ever put as much value into a single smartphone wallet as any other wallet they use, from day to day. Does MEW use a phone's TEE?
So can you? I'm so sorry. For some reason, broke apart. Can you repeat that? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Olga. I'm sorry.
Okay, let's just.
I am struggling for hearing. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Hear anything?
Do you want to say something, Olga?
Sorry, can you just repeat the question very quickly?
So we just kind of dropped out.
Yeah.
Maybe do you want us to call you back, Olga?
All right.
I'm very sorry to everyone watching. We are struggling for a connection. I'll give you a call back, Olga, 2 seconds. I apologize to everyone for all of this. We are coming back online. Olga is coming to rejoin us on the line. I apologize to everyone for the mild delay. In the meantime, we'll talk about right now, while Olga is rejoining us, there has been a massive hack overnight by the Japanese exchange called Zaif, losing $60 million in cryptocurrency. About 2/3 of the funds belong to users, and the remaining third belonging to the exchange. Obviously, it's a classic example right now of why decentralized exchanges potentially could be the future and centralized exchanges not be, given that the transparency that decentralized exchanges do provide. It hasn't seemed to have affected prices dramatically, but because we've had so many hacks all throughout time, doesn't seem to be a great look but for the centralized exchanges. Yeah. We might need to pause for a second, guys, while we work to fix this up. We'll just leave you guys with the markets right now as they move. We'll be back, guys, in just a minute. All right, guys, we're back. My apologies to everyone that was watching. We had a little minor technical malfunction, but we're back. Olga, so we were talking about, I'm not sure if you heard about, we were talking about Samsung with their report, talking about smartphones being equipped for holding, being the safest place for blockchain and cryptocurrency, using this trusted execution environment, TEE, they call it, TEE. And I wondered, does MEW Connect use TEE on its phones?
What do you mean by TEE?
It's a piece of technology called Trusted Execution Environments. It isolates keys from apps and therefore protects them basically from malware. It's something that Samsung has been using with its phone.
Is this Well, I mean, I know on basically on MyEtherWallet's, we're using the key store, the iOS key store file to store the encrypted version of your private key. I'm actually, to be honest, not aware of the TEE yet, but hopefully I will research it more after this conversation. Because right now we're currently actually working on Android, and maybe this would be that we implement, but to be honest, I can't say.
So where are the private keys stored on the application?
Well, as I said, well, the private key is stored in an iOS key store, pretty much, but it's stored in an encrypted version of it. So
right.
We can't just access it. Yeah.
And do you think that smartphones are the best place to store private keys?
Well, it's better than to store your private key unencrypted on your laptop, if you think of that way. I mean, of course, we always say that the hardware wallets are the best way to store your private keys because they are made just for that purpose. But of course, your phone, even your ex-girlfriend, if she knows your password, she can obviously access everything. But I mean, again, phones are made for multiple purposes, and it's really hard to anticipate what possibly can happen with that. But we did our best to keep your private key securely.
Cool. And what do you think about the new HTC Exodus, which is the blockchain phone, and how do you think that will sort of compete with MEW Connect?
Well, which one? Sorry.
It's the new HTC Exodus. It's the new blockchain phone where you'll have wallets built into the actual phone.
Well, it's another blockchain phone. I guess, well, we're not trying to compete with anyone. This is solely just for easy way to access your cryptocurrency and just every day. And again, MyEtherWallet's is completely free while you have to pay for the blockchain phone. And as far as I know, they didn't release it yet. So it's really hard to calculate which kind of features are going to be in it. and how it's going to be executed. And again, like MyConnect is just an app or a protocol, if you might say, rather than actual hardware.
Gotcha. How's the adoption of the actual application been? How many sort of downloads have you seen?
Well, during the testing period, we had around I think around 500 users. Right now, we pretty much numbers are growing every day, and I would say, oh my God, I don't know lie that number, to be honest. But I would say it's a couple hundreds.
Couple of hundred.
Yeah.
So a couple of hundred per day.
Yeah.
And so how many people are sort of in total are using it?
The thing is we're not trying to collect any data. That's why we don't have exact numbers. I know it sounds weird, but we're open source and we're against any collections. That's why we don't have enough information, to be honest.
Right. Okay. And in terms of, have you seen more usage of the MyEtherWallet website as well?
Can you say that again?
Have you seen more people use the MyEtherWallet website?
I would say the numbers are pretty steady. Again, we only have like the aggregate statistics, so we can't really say how many random people visiting every day. But I would say it's pretty much stayed the same, maybe increased a little bit, but it's not a big, huge change.
No, that's interesting. Do you have any sort of security tips? What would be your top 2 tips for security for our viewers?
Well, of course, install MyConnect if you haven't, or buy a hardware wallet. Install MetaMask or any other extension that would alert you whenever you visit a phishing website or a link. Always bookmark your crypto website.
Cool.
That's pretty much 101 security.
And I guess in terms of the future and where are you guys sort of focused on next in terms of trends of where you see, things like custody and things like that? Where are you guys trying to go next?
Well, the main important part for us is to bring a better user interface and pretty much user experience, because that's #1 issue to actually increase mass adoption. As we see everywhere, a lot of people are talking about it, but it's really hasn't been solved yet. For example, like even multi-signature wallets it's pretty much a $1 million UI problem. And we're trying to work really hard to make it better and make it more usable, make it more intuitive and more accessible.
Very cool. And MyEtherWallet is a free service, right? You can just download it.
MyEtherWallet, the website or the app?
Oh, sorry, the MyEtherWallet Connect. My apologies.
The MyConnect, MyConnect is completely free. It's free and open source.
Very cool. Well, I encourage everyone who's watching to download it, give it a go. Thank you, Olga, for joining us. I apologize for our technical issues there, and good luck with MyEtherWallet and where it's going.
Thank you.
All right, guys, moving on. We've got a bit of a controversy happening right now. Actually, a massive controversy in the blockchain space. The New York State Attorney, and we're going to step through this, has come out with a very interesting report, and I'm going to try and stay as neutral as possible in this one. It's called the Virtual Markets Integrity Initiative. This is going to get heavy. Joel, if you want to bring up the accusations between government and exchanges have been literally on fire, and I'm going to walk you guys through this. So a bit of background. What happened was 14 exchanges who operate in New York were asked to complete a questionnaire on how they organize their practices. 4 exchanges declined to participate, saying they didn't trade in New York, and 4 exchanges these 4 were investigated. 3 of the 4 were found out to be not telling the truth. The New York State is suggesting then the exchanges that were saying that they don't trade there are Binance, Kraken, and Gate.io. Now, these 3 exchanges have been reported to the Department of Financial Services for potential violations of New York's strict virtual currency regulations. Some of the reports are suggesting that substantial potential for conflicts between the interests of the platform insiders, and platform customers. Now, if you look at the four exchanges, they also include Huobi. And these exchanges account for about $76 billion in the last 30 days traded in New York. In total, right? 76 billion, according to CoinMarketCap. So we're dealing with some pretty big firms, right? Now, here's a quote from the Attorney General. We looked at that just before. Substantial potential for conflicts between the interests. And the report noted was due to exchanges offering this is some of the problems, right? Some of the problems were they're suggesting that exchange offered their own currency, which is traded against others on the platform, like Binance Coin. The second problem they suggested was exchanges having investments in cryptocurrency which are traded on the platform themselves. So the exchanges invest in cryptocurrencies that are traded on their own platform, okay? Two major conflicts. And the reports go on to say that trading platforms have yet to implement serious efforts to impede abusive trading activity. Now, some exchanges have taken steps to police the fairness of the platforms, the report notes, right? Protection for customers' funds are often limited or illusory. Geez, I don't know how to actually pronounce that word. Joel, have you got that word for me?
Illusionary.
Illusory?
No, I don't know.
I think that's supposed to be illusionary. Illusory. That's what we're gonna say. I'm not sure what that word means. But this is the thing, right? We go on. These are all about centralized exchanges, right? So they're only smacking centralized exchanges because decentralized exchanges, who are you gonna talk to? Essentially, another issue they talked about was the funds on exchanges not being insured. And I guess I wonder, does this report mean anything, or is the government just having a bit of a laugh? Okay, so according to Franklin Bai, Associate Director of Weissman Strategic Advisory Group and former blockchain strategy lead and VP of JP Morgan, the findings will have ripple effects over the next 6 months to a year. He's saying the ramifications of this report will play out over the next 6 to 12 months at least. The New York Attorney General's office leads the nation on these types of issues, and this is as clear as it gets. This is hardcore, guys. This is very hardcore. And today is also vindication for everyone who's sounded the alarm on how much improvement is needed across cryptocurrency market infrastructure. It may be tempting to dismiss this report as a one-off event, but it could be the beginning of a series of actions at the federal and state level. That's pretty hardcore. Now, the thing is that the exchanges have not laid down. And in this case, they've actually smacked the government back. And Kraken in particular, who are one of the exchanges that provides data to the CME to calculate its Bitcoin futures. That's important, right? So the Kraken provides it to the CME. The CME is literally the central nervous system. It's the heart of the whole financial markets, of absolutely everything. And they provide the data to the CME, right? And Kraken is actually accusing the Attorney General of one day before the CBOE futures contract, basically putting this information out and saying that insider trading was going on. Now, that's a big accusation from Kraken, right? If we could bring up the quote, Joel, we encourage regulators to resist the temptation to just swing at whatever's within arm's reach. Think about your long-term strategy. If you make life too difficult for your neighbors, they might move away, and then you will be attempting to protect your consumers from the guys across the ocean who couldn't care less about your strong arm hook, Kraken said. Who couldn't care less about your strong arm hook. That's heavy. Whether you think you have us by the balls or not, approaching us with some basic respect and having a conversation is always going to make the interaction smoother and help you get what you want faster than storming in with your or else list of demands. There's a bit of Latin in one of the comments they made, and it says, who will guard the guards themselves? CEO of Kraken, Jesse Powell, really coming out very strong here, very strong. Smacking back the government, very strong words from the Kraken camp, given they provide this data to the CME, and the New York State Attorney General obviously coming out very hard. This is a big bit of dialogue back and forth. Strange thing is, doesn't seem to have affected the prices. We're still trading at around that 6,500 mark for Bitcoin. Ethereum at $222. Ripple at 43 cents, up 33%. Still EOS at $5.77, up 8.44%. Bitcoin Cash at $451. Litecoin $56. Ethereum Classic at $11. Cardano at 8 cents. And NEO at $17.95. Guys, we're going to wrap up the daily exchange there. Thank you so much for watching. Apologies for the technical errors we had there, but do subscribe, guys. Join us and click that little bell up the top. Bell. And there will be a transcript of all the links and things so you can read about them in more detail. And that is the daily exchange. We'll see you guys next week. Yeah.